Da, 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 da. Sure, 5 4 3 2 1 5 4 3 2 1. What is this cord? A little differently.
Right now on the National Weather Desk, on the move, will the weather impact? From our nation, right now on the National Weather Desk, on the move, will the weather impact your holiday travel plans?
Most of the eastern half of the U.S. should be fair.
Also, how long will it take to remove all that snow in Buffalo?
I think they're honestly doing the best that they can.
How climate change is impacting the nation's golf courses.
If we had a storm, I mean, you'd shut the course down for a week.
How a NASA scientist found her place working at the space agency.
We need more scientists. We need people that think differently in science as well.
And we'll take you soaring over Seattle and the Puget Sound.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Today is one of the busiest travel days of the year, so let's take a look at the forecast across the country for this Thanksgiving holiday with meteorologist Michael Ernberg.
Thanksgiving, just a few days off, and a lot of you will be traveling as we go on through your Wednesday. Most of the eastern half of the U.S. should be fair. There's going to be a little bit of snow across Montana and also Wyoming and northern sections of Colorado and the Rocky Mountain states. Though as we go into Thursday, a wet low pressure area will get going from the Midwest down to the Gulf Coast states. This will be a wet weather maker except for snow on the western fringe. It moves up through the East Coast as we head on to Friday. Areas like Charlotte, D.C., New York, Boston getting rain. Maybe some snow and ice for far northern New England and the mountains. Another storm gets going in Texas and the Gulf Coast. On Saturday, that moves into the southeastern states and then once again up through the northeast and mid-Atlantic on Sunday.
Seattle has finally ended its record-setting dry streak, but the rain wasn't enough to end the drought. For more, let's head to meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell, who's in Seattle, Washington.
Well, hi there, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell here in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle. We just wrapped up the longest November dry spell ever recorded at SeaTac Airport. This is supposed to be one of our soggiest months. Everybody knows it around the country. Seattle is a rainy location, especially this time of year. But not this year. In 2022, we went 2 full weeks, 14 days, November 8th through 21st, without a drop of rain in sight. It was crystal clear and sunny. Finally broke that on Tuesday with a good soaking storm coming through, but it had been quite some time since we'd had any rainfall there in the Emerald City. As such, the drought continues to worsen out west, especially out of California, where in some cases it is reading as exceptional. But after playing so much catch-up last spring, we had a soggy March through May in the Pacific Northwest. You can see we're starting to head back into the moderately dry period here in November, of all things, back in western Washington.
It's been 5 days since the snow first started falling in Buffalo, and snow removal efforts continue today. Some communities are questioning if the city is moving fast enough. Reporter Maya Skinner now in Buffalo, New York, with more.
Plowing crews are on phase 2. Martin addressed concerns from residents about not seeing a plow.
This part of the city is snow removal. I mean, you'll see some of our plow equipment tightening up some of the mains and streets, but a lot of the streets, plows could not get down, right? They just weren't accessible.
Martin says 113 pieces of equipment, along with 17 trucks from New York State, were being used to hit the southern area of the city. Residents living off of South Park Avenue say they're being patient.
I think they're honestly doing the best that they can. I think they learned from Snowvember. There's nowhere to put it.
Well, they're working day and night, and we see them going up and down, and there's so much snow that they have to unload the dump trucks to take the snow away.
Residents also say they've taken some of the work into their own hands just to get out of their driveway and helping others too.
Did you have to do any of your own shoveling out today?
Today, no, it melted. I had shoveled out the last 3 days, and I had some help. Liz helped across the street. The twins down the street helped.
Parts of Texas now gearing up for a winter storm this holiday weekend after a series of storms that strained resources in early 2021. Officials want residents to get ready for any brutal weather that next system could bring. This includes the possibility of a shelter stay. We head now to Austin, Texas, where reporter Betty Cross has more.
Winter Storm Uri was a worst-case scenario. Many lost power and struggled to stay warm. The harsh conditions also burst pipes and caused water systems to fail. The bleak situation pushed Austin to rework its emergency preparedness plan.
Being ready.
Robert Moreno helps the city get emergency supplies to the people who need them most. He says this warehouse is no longer the single distribution point for food, water, cots, hygiene kits, and other emergency supplies.
We recognize that the ability for us to get supplies out was going to be very limiting because of the conditions of the road.
To be better prepared, this year Austin almost doubled the number of recreation centers that can be used as emergency shelters.
Well, last season we started out with 5, and then we've added an additional 4, so we have 9.
Each of the shelters will have 75 cots and the pillows, sheets, and other supplies needed to weather a storm.
We also have water and food enough to sustain 75 people for 72 hours.
But keep in mind, the city is only providing the basics. For anything else, people need to also have their own preparedness plan.
To help you better prepare, here's what's in the hygiene kit. You get some bathing wipes, a disposable towel, 4 oral swabs that you could use to clean your teeth, and a hairbrush. As you can see, this is the bare minimum. You probably also want to have deodorant, toothpaste, maybe even an actual toothbrush instead of a swab. That means you need to prepare so that you can be comfortable if you ever need to go to a shelter.
This website has recommendations about how to build an emergency supply kit. Experts say having medications and other personal supplies ready to go can make a disaster less stressful or even make the difference between life and death.
Bad weather led SpaceX to scrub yesterday's scheduled launch of a Dragon spacecraft. The mission will help resupply the International Space Station. The spacecraft will carry 7,700 pounds of supplies. And the delay is not grounding the excitement for these high schools science students in Northern Virginia. That's because a satellite they engineered from scratch will be on that rocket when it eventually lifts off. It'll be handed to astronauts aboard the International Space Station. Yesterday, students celebrated along with NASA and aerospace industry officials.
It's incredible to see, because we're high school students, right? Most people who launch these things have graduate degrees, and the fact that a team like this is able to put a satellite together is pretty amazing.
Not only did they put the thing together, but they got it to work. Space is really hard. Getting things into space and getting things to work in space is not an easy task. It's like a 50-50 shot as to whether or not it's actually going to work. So if it actually does work, we're going to be just very excited.
The next launch opportunity for the rocket carrying the student satellite will be Saturday. All right, Yosemite National Park is one of the nation's treasures, home to Half Dome, Glacier Point, and Yosemite Falls. The view's absolutely breathtaking. But did you know that you can ice skate there and still enjoy those views? Reporter Sophia Lesios has more.
It's just a beautiful experience like no other to ice skate.
Curry Village Ice Rink is in the heart of Yosemite National Park with breathtaking views.
You get Half Dome to one side and then Glacier Point to the other, so you're ice skating in a really iconic location. It's just not the same ice skating in a t-shirt. You get to bundle up, you get your cozy hat, you get nice and cozy in your layers, and you really get the full ice skating experience.
The ice rink opened in 1928, according to Yosemite National Park's website, meaning this rink has been bringing the holiday spirit to everyone who visits for nearly 100 years.
I mean, what's more holiday than getting cozy, being super warm, grabbing hot chocolate, and ice skating?
Have you ever wondered what happens to a soap bubble when it's freezing outside? Here's what happened to one that landed on this shrub in Reno, Nevada. Take a look at this magic, or in this case, the science. How cool is that? Within seconds, it starts to crystallize and forms patterns. Then it eventually freezes. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, tips on how you can save money heating your home this winter. Plus, a look at how the changing climate is impacting one of America's favorite sports. We're heading to break. First, though, a test of your weather wit. The area of the central United States that has a lot of tornadoes is known as what? Is it tornado street, corridor, alley, or thoroughfare? The answer after this short break.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. Look at the Northeast. We have a nice looking Wednesday on tap. Temperatures today will top out in the 40s and 50s. More clouds through northern New England and New York. If you're traveling anywhere in the Northeast today, I think the weather is going to cooperate. There are no big storms through the holiday, which is nice. Now, your Thanksgiving looks mostly sunny. Temperatures will leave a little to be desired, I think. Some communities at the north will be in the 30s, but most of the Northeast will top out in the 40s to near 50 degrees. Enjoy.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region, starting off with some 30s and 40s as we head through the end of the morning commute. By about lunchtime, well into the 50s. Nice looking day for one of the busiest travel days of the year, with some 50s to near 60 during the warmth of the afternoon, and barely even a cloud in the sky as fair weather high pressure remains our fair weather friend and our latest weather maker. It stays for Thanksgiving. That's a scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your temperatures for today. We're seeing a nice cool one up in Nashville, 63 degrees, 69 in Birmingham, Raleigh, 66 degrees. You get a little warmer down in Florida, 77 in Tampa, 81 West Palm. A little bit of clouds and some rain still holding on in parts of the South Florida as we see a little bit of moisture that's been working its way across the state. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies across much of the southeast as we're seeing drier conditions as high pressure is still in control. Looks like we'll continue to see things drying for Thanksgiving holiday.
Before the break, I asked what area of the central United States has lots of tornadoes. What is it known as? Is it known as Tornado Alley, Street, Corridor, or Thoroughfare? The answer, that area is known as Tornado Alley. Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We're going to start out in the salty brine State Beach in Narragansett, Rhode Island, where it's going to be a day with sunshine, high temperature of 51 degrees. And next up, Isle of Palms near Charleston, South Carolina. Right now, lots of clouds. Later today, skies expected to turn partly cloudy with an afternoon temperature of 65 degrees and rain expected Thursday evening. I know, Thanksgiving. And a look here at Cincinnati, Ohio, where they have lots of sunshine. High temperatures will roll right up close to 60 degrees. And we're going to end in San Antonio. You can see overcast skies. There's some afternoon showers. High temperature close to 60. Well, between Artemis, the James Webb Telescope, and the recent launch of the JPSS-2, space has been in the news a lot recently. So I decided to sit down with our resident NASA scientist, Michelle Thaler, and chat about her personal story of finding a place in science even when she felt like she didn't belong.
You know, one of the things that we're really having to face very head on at NASA is the idea that there are many different ways to be a scientist, and we've been leaving out a lot of people who may have an interest in science, but not be sort of the steely-eyed missile man with the crew cut and the black tie that you used to have the image of what a rocket scientist was. So I grew up in Wisconsin. I went to a public school. I was not particularly noticed or encouraged by my science teachers. I wasn't really discouraged. It was the 1980s, but nobody really noticed me in science. I just couldn't get these ideas out of my head. You know, the idea that the tiny little stars in the sky were the biggest fires in the universe. You know, the sun could fit 1 million Earths inside it. And here you were on a cold Wisconsin night looking up and seeing those stars. And my parents did not particularly like science. They didn't discourage me, but they were like, okay, well, if you can find a way to have a job and be financially independent, then sure, be an astronomer. So people kept telling me I wasn't the right personality, but I loved science. And so, you know, I mean, my story is kind of one of those where if you have a natural curiosity, even if people say you're not the right person for some reason, science doesn't care. The universe doesn't care. You know, there are cultures to work through in terms of academics or working for the government or many things where we may encounter discrimination, even more subtle kinds that people don't even mean to do. And that's one of the things that I try to get people to understand, that we really cannot discourage people. We need more scientists. We need people that think differently in science as well.
Michelle is just so inspiring, and all of our interviews with Michelle can be found on our YouTube channel, along with some great content that didn't make it into the show. All you have to do is search the National Weather Desk and hit the subscribe button. And as we head into winter season and those temperatures continue to drop, people are spending more time at home, and that means an increase in the use of your heater. And with prices climbing, people often want to know, well, what ways can they cut their heating costs? So for some money-saving tips, let's head to meteorologist Matt Gunn in Kirksville, Missouri.
It's no secret it can get quite cold during the winter. Some people may be wondering how they can save a few bucks heating their home. There are some things people may do to continue to stay comfortable in the winter, but also heat their home efficiently. The first tip is to open your blinds to allow some sunlight to filter into your home during the day. Another one is similar to what you do with your air conditioning in the summer. When you are asleep or not home, drop the temperature on your thermostat a few degrees. A couple less known tips include dropping your water heater temperature down to the warm setting. And keep your fireplace damper closed when not having a fire to prevent cold air from getting back into your home. By implementing these changes yourself, you can save some money that can be used elsewhere.
Rising sea levels and an increase in storm surge from hurricanes is having an unexpected impact. Golf courses on the Carolina coast are at an increased risk of flooding and erosion. To find out how the industry is reacting to the problem, we go now to Sonia Stevens in Charleston, South Carolina.
Billy Wise has been playing the Charleston Municipal Course since he was a kid.
80s and the 90s, it started getting worse, to where we get a king tide. If we ever had a storm, I mean, you'd shut the course down for a week, at least. They used to close the back nine down, just completely closed. They just had the front nine to play.
That changed after renovations at the end of 2020. Wise now plays the course 3 days a week.
We've had 5-inch rains. We've had 7-inch rains. With Hurricane Ian about a month ago, we had a 7.9-inch rain recorded here at the golf course. And we were not closed because of flooding for any of those.
Miller, who is the architect for the course, says all the hard work and money spent on elevating the course was worth it.
Not only has it been a good move in terms of keeping resiliency against these rising tide levels, but it's also created a better environmental situation.
This is just one of the courses that will have to combat issues like sea level rise in the future due to the buildup of heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere. Data from Climate Central shows that Patriots Point links will have a frequent flood risk by 2050. An official with the course told me that they've seen water intrusion on the rough of the 18th hole and may do renovations to heighten that area in the future. We also asked officials at Wild Dunes and Kiowa Island, but they didn't want to comment. Climate Central data shows that both will experience more frequent coastal flooding between now and 2050. This data is no surprise to Norman Levine, a geology professor at College of Charleston.
Charleston is one of the world's 8 most vulnerable cities or regions to sea level rise. And so that's going to affect our courses in this area. We are the low country for a reason.
Levine studies imagery like this digital elevation model known as a DEM.
We can get very, very accurate estimates of elevation, very accurate models of flooding, and especially inundation or sea level rise.
Levine says time is of the essence as we battle these rising tides. Miller urges others to be proactive.
Having that long-term vision of understanding what the impacts can be on your golf course over the next 25, 50, 75 years.
Miller knows it's been a hole-in-one for the municipal course because with climate change, it's best to be on par as battered coastlines, eroded dunes, and heavy rain will be a constant challenge on the greens.
A lot goes on behind the scenes when you see your local weather forecast, and we thought it might be fun to show you some of the things that you don't see on TV. So let's head to meteorologist Christina Earn in Providence, Rhode Island for a look behind the scenes.
3 items that are essential to me as a meteorologist that you don't see. Number 1, my IFB. It's how the directors and producers communicate to me and tell me how much time I have left. Number 2, I always wear an elastic leg band. It holds up my IFB pack and my microphone pack as well. Number 3, my clicker. It is the magic that helps me change my graphics when I'm in front of the chroma key.
Christina posted that video to her TikTok, and all of our meteorologists have tons of great content just like this. If you want to see more, just follow the National Weather Desk on your favorite social media account, where we post the latest from our 200 meteorologists across the country. And we'll be right back.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. A lot of 50s, 60s, some 40s to the north, 36 in Bismarck for the day today, but honestly pretty quiet weather for most of the Midwest. Now, tomorrow we do have some showers starting to work their way in from the south for your Thursday and Thanksgiving, but generally temperatures still staying mild for us. That rain kicks out to the east on Friday, and most of the Midwest still staying dry and mild Friday.
Well, good Wednesday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchet. Look at our forecast today across the region. And we are starting off with a lot of clouds, a few showers, areas of drizzle across central portions of Texas. 61 in the afternoon for Little Rock, 52 Oklahoma City. Notice cold front coming in Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, dropping temperatures into the Panhandle, eventually getting into some heavy snow potential Thursday night and Friday. Otherwise, it'll be showers and storms across Texas, Arkansas, heading into Louisiana by Thanksgiving evening with that front.
Well, hi, everybody, and good Wednesday morning. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. What a big holiday travel day. And if you're coming out west, prepare to get chilly, at least over parts of the Rockies, where we'll top out at just 36 today in Missoula. Vegas actually running a little cool. 69 today in southern Nevada. 71 sounds lovely around coastal California and San Diego. This system continuing to drop out of the Bitterroots and into the Rockies. Some snow outside of Denver eventually today. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A mackerel sky made an appearance Tuesday morning over South Carolina's low country. The name comes from the pattern the clouds make in the sky, resembling fish scales. In this case, the clouds are stratocumulus. And check this out, it's a Star Trails time lapse as seen from Alabama. While it looks like the stars are moving, it's actually the Earth that's rotating. That's why all the trails are in the same direction.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
And before we go to break, let's take a look at some of the awesome content that we see from our viewers. We've been telling you about the bands of lake effect snow impacting several states adjacent to Lakes Michigan, Erie, and Ontario. So here's one example. You can see some of the damage there that the storms caused. This carport in Kalamazoo, Michigan collapsed from the heavy snowfall, and it looks like right underneath there's some cars and a truck that's trapped. We'll finish up here at the end of the day in this brilliant sunset in Ohio. And we would love to share your weather content on air. You can find us on your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. All you have to do is search at Nat WX Desk or National Weather Desk. And we'll be right back. Thanks for spending a small part of your morning with the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. We leave you with images from Seattle and the gorgeous Puget Sound.